Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GeekWave. This is the low-budget show. It's the show so low it has no budget. And we are just doing a classic news breakdown this week. Nice and simple. Couple of big things I want to talk about. And just take it easy. You know, I got something lined up for next week that might be a little fun. Something that I want to talk about for a while. So before we get there, let's just do the big news of the past couple of weeks. The last episode we did, there was no news break. We just did the Oscars talk. And I'm kind of tempted. Let me know if you guys think I should do this. Should we do a predictions for like what could be nominated for like Best Picture or Best Actor and Actress and Director for like 2025? I don't know really like where I'd go with any of it. Kind of like have a couple ideas in my head. It's still way too early to call. But here's what I'm going to say. I want to make one prediction about the Academy Awards right now. I think there is a likely chance that we could see a Return of the King moment for a very specific franchise at the 98th Academy Awards ceremony. I don't know how likely it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if after two previous films making a shit ton of money, we finally acknowledged James Cameron and Avatar Fire and Ash as this generation's Return of the King. I think that is probable. Not super likely to happen, but probable. There's a chance it could win Best Picture. Depends how the rest of the year goes. But we'll see. I would really like that. I would be very happy if that were the outcome and we saw that. But, you know, I feel like the Academy's hesitant to give that movie more accolades than it needs to, considering it's probably going to be the film of the year. Nonetheless, that's my one prediction we're going to make. And we'll jump into some news. It's kind of a lot of sad stuff, honestly. Things being canceled or taken away for weird reasons, people stepping away, and the internet having a weird reaction to stuff. It's only like 5 pieces of news we're going to be talking about, but I figured we could fill 20 to 25 minutes talking about all this stuff, and that's what we like to do here. So first off, I want to talk about this big piece of news. It's kind of like started off as one thing, blossomed into another thing altogether. The report that Kathleen Kennedy was going to be stepping away as the top dog over at Lucasfilm. She is currently the head CEO. She's in charge of the whole production thing. And people, for as long as she's been in charge of that company, as soon as Disney bought it and Lucas was like, you shouldn't still Kathleen Kennedy as like the top person there. People, mainly men, have been like, well, you can't have a woman in charge of Star Wars. So they've been wanting her out since she started. And it's interesting. It's very interesting for a lot of reasons. I think this can kind of fall into the same category as Barbara Broccoli stepping away from owning the rights to James Bond. You are not a young person anymore. So do you really want to be playing this game well into your senior years? Kathleen Kennedy is 71 years old. When I'm 71 years old, you think I want to spend my entire time getting stuff made that people are just going to yell at me for? I wouldn't want to do it. You have one of the best careers maybe in any producer in Hollywood. You have made some of the most important and highest grossing films ever made. You literally saved Star Wars in an era where nobody thought it was going to go anywhere. So yeah, if you are at that point in your career where you want to step back, I think, all the power for you. It's a good idea. Maybe do something like that. I support it. And until you find the right, successor to the throne, it's perfect. She did clarify, she's not stepping away immediately. This isn't a Justin Trudeau situation. She is going to stay on board until, the end of the year, maybe until somebody can actually properly step up and take the reins of what she does. And that threw the internet into a dizzy. All of the same people were like, thank God she's going. everyone was just supporting, like, get her out of here, she's ruined Star Wars. Here's what I'll say. I am very for Kathleen Kennedy. Her track record's immaculate. I think she has way more hits than she does losses. Not saying that there isn't any losses, because there is. But her hits are there, and they're very obvious. And I think that's really important when you find someone who's like the CEO, the head distributor of your, production company. It should be that. You should look for somebody who is very capable of that thing. I just think being a CEO, being in charge of Star Wars today is a thankless job, and she has done well enough at it, but she's also greenlit some shit, and she's helped make some shit. And I'm not saying that everything George Lucas did wasn't shit. There's a lot of shit in George Lucas' stuff too. It's exactly like Barbara Broccoli and James Bond. There are some duds in there, and it's kind of annoying. But I also fear where we could be headed. Now, I think a lot of like the glut, and we'll come back to this with another piece of news we're going to talk about, a lot of the glut that comes from this current wave of Star Wars is that push from Bob Chapek when he was in charge for like those couple of years to push shit on Disney Plus. Forget the movies. We kind of like listened to fan reactions in the wrong sense after The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Now we're too afraid to do anything. Don't do that. Oh, man, it's so messy. And it kind of bugs me that it's so messy. It should be easy. We should be like, yeah, this woman's in her 70s. Let her retire and not have it feel like a moral victory to some assholes online who think they got her to leave. When you're 70 years old, why would you give a fuck about anything going on in Star Wars? Just like, leave it. Don't worry about it. I find it to be very interesting in that way specifically. There were some names tossed around for like who could replace her. I think the obvious one that people were like, oh, it should be Dave Filoni. I like Dave Filoni. He doesn't seem like a guy I'd want to like hang out with for fun, but he likes Star Wars, and people think he's the heir apparent to George Lucas, which isn't always a good thing. Just saying. George Lucas had a couple of duds in his bag too. Jon Favreau was another name thrown out. There was another one who was like, was it they from Sony Pictures or something, or like Fox Studios? Emily Watson or Emma Watkins or something like that. She probably should do it. I'd love it to see like Kathleen Kennedy step away and hand the reins over to another woman. I think that'd be great. Kevin Feige was another name that people threw out. Don't know why for the life of me Kevin Feige would ever want to go to Star Wars. You have enough shit to deal with your failing universe. Don't go to one that's already dead. I'm trying to sit here and be like excited about stuff for the future of like entertainment. But I think about Kathleen Kennedy wanting to step away and Barbara Broccoli wanting to step away. And I feel like the golden era of these people are just fading away. Nobody wants to be here anymore. And I think it's good to like let people retire, and like this generation in particular retire instead of like working forever. But it's both cool and worrisome, because the last thing I want is some huge fan of Star Wars taking over the reins and ruining it instead of just trying something interesting. And I don't want a corporation to have all that power. Like, there's a good chance that Lucasfilm and Disney just install a figurehead so they can make whatever they want, which is just another big fear. I really hope that's not the case. But likelihood would suggest it could just be that. Because Dave Filoni's never run a studio before. He's produced a couple things. He's like showrun a couple things and directed a few live action things, but he's never led a thing. So I'm worried that if they put him in, they're going to manipulate him to do some stupid stuff. We'll have to wait and see what happens. This is still a ways off, but it's not exciting. And if you're excited about it, just just don't think Star Wars is going to be instantly better once Kathleen Kennedy is gone. She is not the reason a lot of that stuff is bad. She is just making the stuff that she was told she has to make and attempting to do it in a way that was fine. Is she perfect? No. But I think there are worse options ahead. We'll wait and see. God, will we wait and see. All right, moving away from Kathleen Kennedy, let's jump over to the world of DreamWorks, because we have our first look, folks, of a film coming out in December of 2026. A little film called Shrek 5. And I've really contemplated even talking about Shrek 5, but I think we have to. I'm just going to say this, and if you want to unsubscribe from the channel, I understand it. I don't like Shrek. I don't like it. When I was a child, I watched the movies a bit, and I thought they were fine, but I don't love Shrek. As a character, I get it. The joke's stale. I don't need that many movies about him. My favorite one is the second one, because it's about a guy who has to deal with a racist father, and it's kind of like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner in a weird sense, and then turns into some weird shit. I don't like the character. I don't like the world. I get the jokes. They're obvious. They're on the nose. They're references to the times. They feel dated at times. They don't hold up for me. I'm saying this now because I just watched the first 3 with my partner because that's what she wanted to watch. I said, let's watch 1938's The Adventure of Robin Hood, and we did. And because she watched that with me, I was willing to go on a ride of something she wanted to watch, and she said, let's watch the Shrek movies. I'm like, I fucking guess so. So we did that, and I just can't get into Shrek. So I'm coming to this as somebody who does not give a shit what happens to Shrek. But for some reason, he is a staple of my generation. He is like a millennial Gen Z icon. He is memed to death. People religiously watch these movies, and I don't understand it. Is this the pinnacle of animation, of comedy, and storytelling for people in their 20s? Is it? Is this what we can strive to? I don't like that. Maybe it's just like the parody thing of making fun of Cinderella and stuff, but it's not interesting to me. It doesn't work. And this is coming from a guy who's wrote a comic book that is about parodying Disney. I don't get Shrek. I just don't. So I don't care what happens to Shrek. You know? The 4th movie was stupid, but I don't think it's any worse than any of the other ones. If I were to rank them, oh boy, 2, 4, 3, 1 or 2, 4, 1, 3. I would probably go one of those orders. 2's the best one. The second one I like is 4. But none of these are getting more than 5 out of 10 from me. Maybe not even 4 out of 10. So we have a first look at Shrek 5, which is coming out in like 18 months. So I don't know why they released this, just to get the internet hyped about something. And the thing that made people very upset, if you can believe the internet having a strong reaction to something, is that Shrek is going to have an altered look to better fit the type of animation DreamWorks and animation studios are making in 2026. So things look smoother. And it looks more organic and less stupid. But God forbid something changes. I don't understand this criticism. I don't get it. What is wrong with people? Why do you want, in 2026, a completely computer-animated movie that looks like it did in 2001? What are you getting from that? Nostalgia? You're still rapidly watching the first movie. Are we not allowed to evolve animation as a medium because you are some self-entitled kid who thinks things should be the way they were? And this is just so evocative, I'm sorry to say it, of the nostalgia baity stuff we see all the time with like another Ghostbusters or Beverly Hills Cop or like them doing a Gremlins again. We've now entered the point where doing 2000s kids stuff, they're going to have opinions on the stuff they liked as a kid. Like, it looks like Shrek. That is Shrek. He's wearing the Shrek clothes. He's green. He's got the stupid fucking head, the big dumb ears. It looks like Shrek. It's smoother and it's just nicer to look at, but it's Shrek, okay? Get over it. Donkey looks older too because they've aged. These characters have aged. Did you relate to Shrek because he was like a cool single bachelor for the first movie who wanted to be left alone, but then he realized getting married and having kids sucks and he hated himself for it? What are we learning from Shrek? They did 2 movies about him like, I don't want a family, but then I do. There's nothing more to say with Shrek unless you age him up. And if you age him up, let's make the animation better. It looks like, not perfectly like that new Puss in Boots movie, because that's its own thing, but just looks crisp. You know, it's a little more like rubbery. And I'm like, yeah, he's an ogre. That's fine. Donkey looks like he's old and he's got a little beard. I'm fine with it. I don't care. Why does anybody care about this? What's happening where this is the case for what's going on? It's so bizarre to me. I also just really struggle with any time a movie gets too self-indulgent in its referencing the modern times. And yes, that has been Shrek's thing from the beginning. It's the same thing I say when I talk about The Simpsons and stuff. I like when it references the modern times. It's just the stuff that's happening today. It's so lame to see on screen. I don't want TikTok on screen. I don't like when Bart and Lisa are scrolling on their phones, looking at videos online, or when South Park's like, let's make a TikTok. It's so lame to me. Same with Shrek. It's not interesting to see Shrek on TikTok and seeing memes of himself. Who's making memes of Shrek? I know it's Pinocchio in the little joke video, but is he still famous? He's not the king. He's still in his swamp, it looks like in the promo. Is he just like a guy people like make fun of now? Are we gonna do like who is like the modern day parody that we'd make for Trump? I don't know. What outdated meme do you think they're going to reference? I think it's going to be Hawk Tuah, and I think it's going to be one of like the pigs or something is going to say Hawk Tuah or something. I don't know. I don't care about it. The animation means nothing to me. It looks fine. It looks good. I fear the day we do a live action Shrek. Also, we see his daughter is in this, played by Zendaya, and she's like a teenager or something. So there's a fun story. Shrek's now out of touch. We could do the Fred Flintstone Bedrock thing that never came to fruition with Elizabeth Banks. Was it? Yeah, Elizabeth Banks, where it's like Pebbles is now a grown woman and Fred's out of touch. You know? That King of the Hill reboot's supposed to be that. That was Shrek. That's fine. Here's where you could win me over with Shrek 5. If you'd made it, Shrek is like an elder millennial. Shrek is an elder millennial who never achieved the dream that he wanted to like have for his life. But we've also known Shrek as a character who's never had ambition. So like, what would that even look like for a guy like Shrek? I don't know. If he feels trapped and now he's like stuck in this part of his life, that's something to explore. Or maybe it's just about his daughter. Because would their last name be Shrek? Or is it just Felicia? Is that her name? Or is it like a transgender Fargle or whatever? Who? I don't care. I really don't care. You can win me over if like you're making fun of the generation that grew up watching Shrek. But I also don't think you could get away with that because people would be really mad at you. Nonetheless, maybe you should. Maybe you should try to do something like that. We'll see. Looks dumb. Don't care. If I'm still doing stuff like this by then, and I think I will be, I imagine we'll talk about it. Until then, blech. So, moving on from there, let's go back to the world of animation. But this time we're going to go over to Disney, and we're going to talk about a couple of big things. The first thing is, you might remember a couple years ago, there was this huge push from Disney at like a D23 or an Insider, whatever, where they're like, here's a bunch of stuff that's coming to like our Disney Plus streaming service. Here it is. All this crap. One of the things they announced, and I think this was like 4 years ago at this point, 3 years ago, a Tiana spin-off series from the movie Princess and the Frog. And it was going to be like the adventures of Tiana as she like travels the world or like builds stuff for her restaurant or something. I'm not specifically sure on what the premise was. The cast was going to come back. Everyone was going to be like, it's Tiana. We're doing like a 2-dimensional animated thing on Disney Plus of like a fan favorite character. And it's going to look cool. It's going to be fun. And people are going to be excited for it. That was going to happen, right? Right? Right. Well, it was announced recently that the project was canceled and that as a whole, Disney Plus was going to be moving away from the Disney company making any actual like long form scripted content. Oh, that's just great to hear. Thank you. I can't keep doing this because it's just so annoying. It is so annoying and frustrating. And I have to ask the question, like, why do we like anything if just these stupid streaming services aren't going to do anything good with them? Disney is, I think, the biggest offender of this. They had like a huge push in like the pandemic era of like, here is all our content coming to the streaming service. We are going to push up and become the number one thing. And I think it's going to be a platform that people are going to own forever because Disney is a family brand that you can just push on your kids and blah, blah, blah. And they got The Simpsons and they got Family Guy and they got all these big things. But they just don't make good stuff. I don't think they have a single original show from any of their companies that I would say is perfect. And I don't know how many people are actually watching it. You see all these reports every single quarter where it's like, this streaming service lost this amount of people. Like, yeah, the streaming service model has failed. I think it is now more abundantly clear than ever that it doesn't work. And I hate that has become the case. Not because I'm a fan of streaming services, because I'm not. I have openly said I am not a fan. But because people are not going to take the right message from that, and the same bullshit is still going to happen. This is just the latest and most public example of a project that would work being canceled. We're very lucky that Pixar project got made and got released. God forbid if it stays on the platform. Like, I find it unbelievably annoying and scary that this is happening at all. I hate what this is. And I do not like how Disney Plus handles itself as a streaming service. I think it pushes some of the worst stuff out there. It doesn't really like prepare itself for like audience engagement. I will admit they are very good at like having like banners and pop-up ads on a bunch of various websites and stuff, but that is not a place where you want to advertise. I just get so frustrated with all this stuff, and not that I was like super pumped for the Tiana show, but I was. I like Tiana. She's probably my favorite princess of Disney of late. And I think there was something so cool you could have done there, but you just didn't. You got too scared, and now here we are trapped in this bullshit where nothing good can come from it. Annoying. Very annoying. I don't even... What other projects does Disney Plus like have in development right now? Percy Jackson is like, I think, their last big one. Because we don't know what's coming next for Star Wars. We know they're not going to do anything with Pixar or Disney again. I'm guessing it's going to be more like unscripted content that you can just like put shit on, you know? More Kardashian stuff. They still got like their licensing deal of Doctor Who. I don't know. It's a shame that this is the casualty that we have to see happen, because I genuinely think this character is fun. I just can't anymore. I can't get excited about anything that's ever announced for a streaming service, because what's the point? Where are we going with any of it? That being said, everything I've heard about that Seth Rogen show, The Studio, gets me super fucking excited, and I hope we get the numbers on that one that makes it go for a while. I don't want it to be like a one series mini thing. Keep having him come back to this role. I think it's perfect for Seth Rogen. Sticking in the world of Disney, we have the rumor, the idea that a Oswald the Lucky Rabbit movie is going to be in development, which could potentially be a hybrid of live action and animation. It's been a minute since we've done one of those. I think the last big one was the Chip and Dale movie, which was fine. Self-indulgent, a little like Lonely Island, which works. I think that's cool. But man, if we could do Oswald the Lucky Rabbit in the style of something like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that'd be pretty sick. I like that idea. I think it's kind of fun. Now, here's where my mind went as soon as I heard that news. I think, and again, this is just complete speculation on my part, but I think the reason Disney would greenlight an Oswald the Lucky Rabbit film now is to draw attention away from Steamboat Willie being in the public domain. We have that weird Screamboat movie coming out later this year, and I think they want to capture the classic black and white, bouncing, oily slick style animation, but they don't want to do something with Steamboat Willie. So if you can use Oswald, something that nobody's really going to want to play with, you can capture that magic in a very specific way. I think that's kind of cool. I also think they should have done something with Steamboat Willie. You know, you could still use him. You could still use him. Do something with him, you know? But whatever. I hate that was my first thought, where I'm like, oh yeah, they just want people to forget about Steamboat Willie, so they'll like pop up this like rejected sidekick character from that era to do some cool stuff. Look, I'm a fan of Oswald. I think he's a really interesting character who's just like, just not fully formed. You know, he's like, if we're like 1 degree away from getting the Mickey Mouse thing right. But he has his fans. You know, he's in that Disney Dreamlight Valley game. Like, he's a character that walks around in there, and he's all about like the vintage retro animation and movie house. So if you wanted to do something very creative in that aspect, if you got the right director for that, I think it would be really cool. David Lowery, maybe? Like, if I were to throw out like a name who's worked with Disney recently, he could maybe do that if he'd want to do it. I don't know. I like the character enough to actually be curious what this could be. But when is he out of the public domain? I'm going to look up right now, like, when Oswald was made. Because when does he fall out of the public domain? Okay, let's take a look here. So he was created in 1927. So is he in the public domain already? He must be. Yeah, because Mickey Mouse is like 29, isn't he? Oh my goodness. So why would they do anything with this character? Okay, so he was before Steamboat Willie. So I guess nobody just wants to do anything with the character, which I get it. I freaking get it. What would you do? Unrelated, but have you guys seen those pictures of the Screamboat movie where we got like that weird Steamboat Willie? It's David Howard Thornton as Steamboat Willie. I mean, what the hell are we doing? We've kind of failed as society, but I am probably gonna watch it though. That's the worst part about it. Wish it looked better than a dumb costume though. All right, the last piece of news I want to talk about is related to toys. I'm a big toy guy, and we had New York Toy Fair very recently, a couple of cool surprises to show up there. Nothing like major, or was like earth-shattering stuff that was revealed. But kind of like right before the show, there was a reveal that really surprised me, which was starting in 2026, like later on in the year, Mattel was going to be getting the DC Comics license again. For those of you that might not know, for a very long time, for like the early 2000s and 2010s, Mattel held on to the DC license. They made a line called DC Universe Classics, which turned into DC Multiverse, which was just originally like DC Superheroes. And it was essentially the epitome of the Marvel Legends for DC. You know, the articulation was weird, the paint was weird. It looked very more toyetic than it does like professional, high-quality action figure. But it was the best we had, and it was the most consistent line because this is a property that like jumps over all over the place. DC Collectibles was a thing for a while. They made their own weird lines and stuff. It was kind of a mess. And I think as soon as they lost the license, part of it went to Spin Master for the children's side of things. And then for the high-end collector stuff, it went to McFarlane Toys. And I was pretty excited for when McFarlane Toys got that deal to do this, because I wanted for a long time to be able to get on the ground floor of a DC action figure line. So I actually had a video on this channel talking about my excitement for that when they first started. And that was 5 years ago. And in that time, I have fallen out of love with McFarlane Toys making DC stuff. I don't like the proportioning. I don't like the head sculpts. The only good thing I think the company has done is prove that you could have cloth goods on a $25 action figure at a very reasonable price. I don't like the chase gimmick. I don't like the selection they have. It is very just ugly and boring and reusing in all the wrong ways. And I don't like it. So I stopped buying those figures. The only ones I buy now are select characters that I like, and Wonder Woman, Superman, and Aquaman related toys, because those are my big three. But I just can't do it. But I have a lot of Marvel Legends because I like comic books and I like those characters, and those are the things I want to buy, is stuff based on comic book characters. And I want a good representation of that for DC, where I'm not spending an arm and a leg to get all the DC Universe classics. So Mattel getting the license again, I'm kind of excited by that. I think they've made some really good advancements with things like Masterverse and their Origins line in Masterverse, in the Masters of the Universe stuff. I think it's cool that they got it back. I'm hesitant to say it's going to be a godsend to the action figure line for DC, but I think for a consistent scale, we could get more than 10 Batman a year. We'll have to wait and see. It excites me. It does excite me. I'm curious to see how it's going to go. I hope it goes well. And I'd be interested to see if that crosses over into other stuff for the company. Mattel has been doing a lot with crossovers in their Masters of the Universe. We have the crossover with Ninja Turtles, the crossover with Thundercats. I wonder if we could see... So they've done it before, a crossover where we have Eternia era Justice League, or modern up New 52 styles for someone like the He-Man characters or something. Or they just announced a new brick style that they're going to do their counter Lego programming. Maybe we'll see some sets in there for the DC characters. Be pretty cool. They also have Mattel Creations where you can make certain dolls and stuff. It'd be pretty cool if we had here's a Wonder Woman doll, here's a Black Canary doll, here's all this other stuff we could have. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool. I'm excited because I think Mattel is really good at making toys. And at the end of the day, I want some good toys. I'd like some more high-end collectibles, and they've gotten better at it. But I just want a consistent DC line that goes on for a while now. And I don't know. Maybe this will be it. I'm also starting to cherry pick my Marvel Legends, though, because they've made some really weird choices as well. But I'm happy with almost everything I buy, essentially. And I cherry pick a lot. But I got a DC line to do that with. That'd be pretty cool. That's all the news I have this week. A nice, breezy one, just talking about the big stuff going on. And we'll be back next week, hopefully, to talk some very interesting stuff. A lot of movies coming out this week I can't wait to talk about. I don't know how many we'll cover. I don't know how many we'll see. But I'm going to do my best to get through them as much as possible. Until then, folks, thank you all for watching and listening. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck. I know I made a reference to Justin Trudeau earlier. I'm not going to make another one. Good to see him gone, though.